All right. It's 5:30. We call this meeting into order. You good? Okay. We'll start with a moment of silence. Thank you. And the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God. All right, Miss Jenny.
Chair Whites,
Here?
Vice Chair James, Member Williams,
Here.
Member Jones, Member Ambrose.
Here.
All right. Now I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda, please.
I make a motion that the agenda be approved as printed.
I'll second that.
All right, we have properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. All right, the agenda's approved. Now we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from March 24th, 2022 CRA meeting.
I move we approve the minutes from the March 24 meeting as presented.
I second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right, the minutes are approved. First item of business, discuss, consider, and act on selection of a railing installation contractor and funding.
Good evening. Mic on. Good evening. This is an old issue that I've talked to Bruce about. The downtown bathroom and chamber facility, the sidewalk that comes off. Is this now work for me? Oh, there we go. As you can see, it has an elevated sidewalk above 12 inches. There have been times where people have misstepped or just completely fallen off of it and fallen to the ground. We are seeking guidance in the type and funding to put a guardrail running the length of the canopy, not the building, but the overhang. And from the overhang out to where the ramps go down right there on each side to where the sidewalk becomes level. In the packets, we have received 4 quotes. They go from as low as $11,000 for a simple 2-rail guardrail to as high as $36,000 for a very decorative, ornamental type railing system. I spoke with Alan Alligood. The railing going across the front needs to be 42 inches tall per code because it's a guardrail. And the 2 coming down the ramps on either end will be 36 inches tall because they will be considered handrails on the ramp. These are just some pickets that were sent to us. We received 4 quotes from different vendors. As I said, they went from $11,000 to $36,000. I said, give me something simple, just get to, as you can see, these are the very simple, a vertical picket or that horizontal rail. And then you get into the more decorative or ornamental. I asked for something that would be of a historic looking nature from the 40s to 50s, 30s time period that you might have seen back then. I did not ask for anything specific. There are so many things you can do. I said, send me examples of work you've done in the past and a quote for what it would cost to do this job. At this time, we are open to any suggestions. If the board wants to do something of a decorative nature like this, or through any of the examples right there, or if they would like to keep it something simple like that right there. That vertical picket railing is going to be somewhere around $12,000. The two rail horizontal is going to be your cheapest at $11,000.
Staff, our recommendation is not the horizontal railing, would be more of a vertical railing, but that was just a lower end option that we wanted to bring forth. Just to kind of show what the scope and the ranges are. And there may not be anything in this packet that you like, and we understand that. We're trying to put something together to look at, and if you would wish as a board to look at something different, we would like guidance on that and what dollar amount you would like us to be in with some ideas. And then we can go back to these vendors as well, the ones that already have bid, and see if we can't get something put together. Or if you see something in there, if you just want to keep it something simple, like what's on top of the screen there, and that's something we can move forward with in the $12,000 to $15,000 range, then we can go that way. The more decorative you get, the more expensive it's going to be.
And there's, of course, it's different metals, the aluminum versus the iron.
So I believe at this point, it's just kind of guidance on what y'all would like and some thoughts back from the board, what you're thinking.
Chair. I like the first slide, the plain is probably what you say, but I think it will be easier to maintain. Being in the rain and all, I'm sure it will take care of itself a lot, but when you get into the decorative and you get all those little circles and stuff, it gets more difficult, and it doesn't look as good. Yeah, that's what you're, that's my opinion.
Can I ask a question? With these pictures, what would help me is, along with these pictures, having an associated price. I mean, I see the examples here, and I'm with Commissioner Jones. I like this simpler vertical style, I think, but I also like this one with the slight horizontal component at the top that might be on the second. Yeah, right there on the left. Not super decorative, but a little bit of something. But what would help me, I mean, obviously apples to apples, same constructed material. Aluminum's not going to be comparable to others. Same constructed material, whatever's going to be more sturdy. I don't think aluminum is really going to be the best idea.
Right, aluminum's what we have downstairs here,
Right,
and we've
right.
got some issues with
Yeah.
it. But in your packet, you'll see the quotes, and there are some associated pictures behind those.
There
It's just
are.
not reflected
Well, I
on
was
the
just looking at the
PowerPoint.
pictures on the very
Yes, ma'am.
front there.
Yeah, the very front pictures are just the building we're dealing with, and then you'll have like a quote from Gainesville Iron Works, and there's some ideas behind there, and then there's another one from MPH, and that's the one you just saw the picture of the books on, and that was some of their ideas and so forth. And there are some prices associated with those as well. So the quotes are with them.
Chair?
Yeah.
I mean, even any of the costs that are in here, compared to someone that's injured, it becomes negligible. So by solving the problem or potential, so I guess, you know, like looking at the photo in front, you know, there's a mix of concrete slab, there's decorative brickwork over. So part of the bid, this really needs to be anchored in, because this is a space where, you know, unlike downstairs, you know, people are much more likely to lean up against the railings and even in a group. So we need to get something that's pretty substantial. So that's part of what I would recommend, is you really look at the materials, how the types of poles and how that's going to be anchored to handle the force. So if you had 5 or 10 people leaning up against it, which you realistically could. The other thing to take a look at is, I mean, that is one of our historic buildings. So I think a design that would look. But it's, I mean, it's in the historic district, and it's designed to look period. So we should have architecture or a style that doesn't clash. So something that looks too modern is going to clash when placed in front of that building versus some of the pictures we just saw. They were modern storefronts and that type of thing. So I'd like you to come back with something that's keeps us safe, anchors well, like Commissioner Jones said, holds up and has the maintenance, but also if there's some way to have some detail in that, even if it's just, you know, different curves, you know, and maybe not the little piece, I don't know, but that would fit into, you know, a time period that fits with that building.
You're not looking for anything like that. It's got the ball in it.
I'm not opposed to that. I mean, I just know, you know, we are gonna, you'd have to end up pressure washing that, you know, every once in a while and doing other cleaning and that kind of thing. Chicago, years ago, when Mayor Daley #2 was elected, he decided that Chicago would have trees and it would have wrought iron fencing. That was the only fencing that was allowed in front of buildings in Chicago. So everything had to be look wrought iron and whatever. And I've seen a lot of it. It will hold up, you know, and how the materials are finished and things. I just, you know, how much decorative detail we need. You know, maybe it's just in the posts, and you go more simple in between the posts, because an older period would have a heavier post because they used to really be cast iron. Anyway, that's my thoughts.
Does the board have any guidance on the amount of funding they like to use for this project?
Again, I'm used to looking at, I'm a spreadsheet thinker. If I could see a spreadsheet compilation of what we're looking at. I mean, $12,000 doesn't scare me. $30,000 doesn't scare me so long as we have the money to spend. You know, if we're not borrowing, I'm good. But again, I saw all of the details here, and, you know, we're 88 linear feet, powder coated with what, and then a picture in the spreadsheet. That's what would really help me to zero in, because I'm amenable. I mean, I agree with Commissioner Ambrose in terms of the historic nature of the look, too. I think that's an excellent point. But that just would really help me to see it compiled together.
So my suggestion would be is, we're just looking at what we have quotes here and dealing with this, and we're looking at time period appropriate, we probably need to focus somewhere around the $25,000 mark to get what we want. And I think if the board's amenable to that, that's what we'll shoot for quotes. We'll bring it back on the next meeting. We can table it, bring it back. We can get some time period photos, something appropriate to go with it. We can reach out to these vendors, see what they can give us, and we can bring those quotes back and say, okay, we've either hit the mark, or we've overshot it, or we're under, and come back, and then we can have some good photos going with it now that we've kind of got a better idea and understanding of where everybody wants to be. We can do something simple with decorative posts and kind of look at what Commissioner Jones was looking at. We can have something a little more elaborate to kind of with some twisted metal and some stuff that would be time period appropriate as well, and just kind of look and see what we can build from there. So if that's appropriate for the board,
That's fine, but make sure we look into how they're gonna anchor it.
Yes, sir.
Because just trying to screw them in, like you say, with people leaning on it, I experience it. They keep leaning on it, sooner or later, they're going to start falling apart. But the ones I've seen that hold up, they put them in the ground with concrete.
Yeah, they'll
instead of
drill
trying
the
to put
hole.
bolts. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And that was part of why we went with local companies too, so they would do the install, and that would help with liability on our side as well. So if we're good with that, we have some direction, so shoot around that, and we'll start putting stuff together, and we'll get it back to you on the next meeting.
A spreadsheet still wouldn't hurt my
sounds good.
feelings.
And I'll make you a spreadsheet.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next item, discuss, consider, and act on the purchase of additional banners for downtown.
Is that me, or did you do that? All right. Currently, we have 2 sets of banners we use downtown. The ones that are out that we just purchased, the purple, red, yellow, green, blue. Purple, yellow, red, green, and blue ones with the different themes around town. And we just purchased the holiday banners, looking at increasing so that these banners we have don't get worn out in the sun all year, rotating them, keeping them fresh. Summer is coming up. We have the opportunity to do a patriotic type theme here. What you see in front of you are the generic banners. I did get a quote also on a little personalization, so to speak. The font and the text styling can be redone the way that, but they can personalize them for us right there. The quote for these banners that are two-colored are $73 a piece. The three colored banners are $80 each. And if we were to get the personalization on it, it increases the price to $109. We can do a combination. I got a quote for 16 of the American flag and 20 of the firework flag ones, and it came to $34.41.33, $3,441.33 for a total for 36 of these banners right here. We also, while I was talking to the banner representative, became aware of another program.
Into that real fast. This is the beginning of a comprehensive banner program we're going to be coming back with. We're looking at doing some stock banners. Right now we have what banners we have in Christmas, that holiday season. We don't have any other holiday seasons. We don't have any other types of banners to spruce up downtown. So we felt like this was a good stopgap to get the summer program rolling, to start getting some more patriotic themes going on. And we wanted to come back probably October, November, and start talking about our banner program for the future and how we're going to move forward with this. And really put emphasis in the next budget to start getting a lot more customized banners in play, start sprucing up the downtown and making it look a lot better with the banners, and trying to just try to get themes going and try to get some positivity and some attraction downtown. So with that being said, Dave became aware of another program while we were there, and we felt like this program was pretty important. We wanted to bring it forward right now.
This is the Hometown Heroes banners. This is a program that I learned through where families in the community can submit a service member's name and have their picture, name, rank put on there. As you can see through these examples right here, we can also have them customized for Gold Star families right there. So there are options we can do for that. But you can see we have choices. I've not selected any. These are just the options that they have. The board, if we choose to move forward with this program, can select the style banner they want, so they look all uniform. And then this is something where Bruce and I have talked where we would create an application, put it on the website, allow people in the community to fill it out, submit it. I imagine, I truly believe that we would get quite a few more than we could do at one time. So we would just roll through, and it would be where when the banner was done, it would then be presented to the person or family that purchased it. And this is something that we can set money aside for. Bruce and I have discussed setting aside money for this program, or it's something where family members can step up themselves, and that's what they do in other communities. So there are plenty of options for this program. If this is something the board would like to move forward with, Bruce and I have discussed doing it different times of the year. Veterans Day, we have July 4th coming up. September 11th is now Patriot Day. So there's times of the year where we can fly those, and then when we're through with them, we present them to the families. And before I forget, move forward, we also have a fall banner selection. These are just very generic banners. They're not customized in any way. They follow the same pricing as the previous firework banners I mentioned, where it would be $73 for the sunbrella and $80 for the three-color, $73 for the two-color. So that's what we have an option of doing too in the fall. If we did the fall, we would carry it to the middle of November. At that time, we would switch over to the holiday banners. So there are options on how we can proceed with any of these three. Just the firework banners that were right here, we can do that or a combination, we could look at doing this. I'm not sure when we could get this going. We could start. And then we could also do the fall banners.
How many flags do we have, excuse me, how many banners do we have around town?
36.
Okay.
So there's 36. So back up one side, please. So one more, go back to those. So we talked about this Hometown Heroes deal and running this program. There's been emphasis on running this program May and November for sure. Whether we sprinkle some in during 4th of July, we'll look at that. But there's 36 polls. Initially, we were told these banners were going to be around $200 a piece because of the customization. They came in at 111.
These did?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, great.
So the thought is this something the board would like to fund, that we would do a program and say $2,000, $2,500 and look at doing 20 to 25 of these? Is it something we'd want to do it on all 36 polls for that time period? Or do we just want to do 10 to 15 and we'll run through an application process, we'll get the applications in, we'll bring the applications to the board will select, we'll go through and the board will select the app, who we get, and then whoever's on the waiting list would be moved up the list for next year, and then we just keep rolling forward with it. We're expecting a huge turnout with this program. We're expecting it to be a huge hit. I think it's something that we don't do enough. We don't recognize our veterans enough. It's something we don't talk about often. It's things that we all need to put a little emphasis in, whether it's just a community or a society, and I think it's good. It's good for the community. It just shows that we're all behind them. So just how you would like to fund that program is what we need to figure out. And if you're okay with doing this program as a board.
Can I ask a question? How many unique different avenues, points of entrance are there into the city where there would be banners? Are there in 4 different
As
directions
you got
coming
the 4
in?
quadrants, you got north and south on Main Street, and east and west on 27.
Because I think that if we did something like this, it'd be nice to have a hometown hero at every entrance. 4 per Memorial Day, 4 per Veterans Day. I love this idea.
We can set the program up how we want to. Trying to just be fair and equitable to where we can get it out and really showcase that family and whether the sacrifice or the time in service, and then whether we get with the chamber and talk about doing something at the Christmas parade and present it to the family then, or we just present it to the family at the end and give it to them, and we felt like it would just be a good thing for the families.
I like the Hometown Heroes. I like the idea that this, we find money in the CRA budget to potential, to support that. I also think people have more of an investment if there's a contribution. So I don't know that we're trying to make money or even necessarily pay for it, but I do think some cost should be involved, because I just think that you get more buy-in on both sides for what you're trying to do when you have that. But either way, I'd be fine. I like the idea you're going to come up with a policy and a process, and this is a good project to start with. As far as the fall banners go, I know that's been looked at before. The issue we have here is a lot of them are designed for a change of seasons, and we just don't have that obvious, and we're almost at Thanksgiving by the time leaves are really falling. So that's why originally fall banners weren't purchased, and the 4th of July ones, I like the idea of having the city of High Springs up on some of the banners as you space them out. So I like where you're going with this, and so that we've got some variety downtown.
Yeah, the fall banners were kind of thrown in there just because it was coming up towards the end of the season, and we have a little bit of time to do that if it was something we wanted to try to do this year. But I really want to have a comprehensive discussion with the board to really discuss our banner programs and what direction we would like to see it go. Put some money in some good banners to where we can use them multiple years, have an array of banners, we can get them out for those seasons, and really just show the holiday spirit, if you will, regardless of what holiday. In the Hometown Heroes banners, like I said, we definitely would showcase the month of May, and probably the month of November, or a good chunk of November up until Thanksgiving, or that time frame, because our Christmas banners go up at that time. So I don't know that the fall banners are really needed at that point, because we're gonna refocus that onto this, and I think this is more important in my opinion. If we were to do all 36 polls, you're probably right around $4,000. And that's getting them in. If we were just to pick 20 polls, we're probably right around 2,500-ish with shipping and everything to get them in. So if we wanted to fund half ourselves, if we got 36 of them, we fund, half of our polls, or 18, and go out and see if we can get funding for the others. We can do that as well. Just kind of looking for some direction there, because we'd like to go ahead and start putting this policy together, the application process, start getting things together so we can get it out, because we'd like to roll it out after the first of the year. We'd like to get the process in place, so by November, December, we're picking the families. We can get it to the companies in time. If we have any issues with banners, we can address it at that point, any spelling errors, things along those lines. And get it rolled out for May. If we can get it done a little quicker, we might, but that's kind of where we're at.
What would we have instead of the fall banners?
We could look at something maybe a little more generic, just in terms of our downtown community, or if they're coming up with a banner program, maybe they could look at doing another set of theme banners. Like right now, we've got, shop, dine, camp, whatever. We could do something, based on our agricultural heritage, or our springs, or water, or, some other type of theme.
So you have something else in mind other than fall? See,
Well, just,
we do have fall here. I mean,
we do.
In North Florida, we do have fall. If you want to see a place that doesn't have fall, you go to South Florida.
I agree. It's the stock banners just all remind me of where I grew up up north in Michigan. And they don't have a lot of things, like a lot of the stock banners for Christmas have snowflakes in them, and
We don't have snow.
so I'm not opposed to doing something for fall whatsoever, but it needs to look like Florida's fall.
Well, and I think, and this is my opinion, and it's at your direction, but fall's not going to be such an emphasis if we do this program, because November's going to be an important month as well. So, something along the lines of doing something themed, the dine camp, cooler weather, coming up with something for that, September, October-ish theme stuff, I mean, do we do something for Halloween? Just, some pumpkins and stuff for downtown. And then we roll out of that into this and move forward. One recommendation I would make on this whole Hometown Heroes program, regardless of how we go about doing it, what funding we put into it, if it's a Gold Star family, I don't think they should have to pay. I don't care at that point. If I got to pay for it out of my pocket, I will. But I don't think if it's a Gold Star family, the sacrifice has already been there. It just needs to be. I think that should be our cost. That's just my opinion. You may have a different opinion, but that's just where I stand.
The Gold Star banner, they didn't have a proof yet to show me, but the Hometown Hero, basically all the text would be in gold to signify that, along with a gold star, similar to what the picture on the far right, the one on the left where the star is, it would have something similar to that there also, to signify the difference.
Actually up in, I believe Suwannee County is doing something similar to this in Live Oak, and they're also combining the banner with an email or a social media thing, recognizing, the background of the individual. And I think that adds a lot of meaning to it as well. When it goes out, it has a picture of the banner.
And that's something we would like to do a bio on it, something we put on the website, something along those lines, just to have what's behind it, so people are aware. So, and I think, some of the ideas, like with the ranking process on this too, would be Gold Star priority, and we would have different priorities, and we would definitely really come up with a process. And as we build that process, you guys would see it as well and come back and give input as well. So we've really thought this through. It's just now, once we figure out which direction the board would like to go, putting it together, getting it together, and coming back and making this a reality.
Any other comments?
I like the idea of doing that too, but as I'm sitting here right now, I can just see us leaving somebody out that should be included. And I know you gotta do an application, and I know you can't do anything for the individual if the application is not submitted. But, I don't know, maybe I'm looking at it wrong.
But I mean, even,
But
if-
I like the idea of it.
I mean, anybody could submit. I mean, if you think of somebody that you want to submit, you could do it as a board. You could put, as an individual citizen, you could put in for that person through the application process. It doesn't have to be a family member. You could, your neighbor, if you wanted to, and be like, oh, I think this person's worthy of it, I should put in for it. And we have limited space, and that's one thing we have to emphasize. We have limited space.
Right.
It's not one person's more important than the other, but they move up to the front of the line for next year, and then we may already have 12 applications for the next year. And we'll be moving forward, and so those go to the top of the list for the next year.
This is a continual program. This is not a one-time. This is something we aim to do each year. So those who might not know about it through our initial advertising of it, once they see the banners up, they'll sure learn about it.
Yeah, they'll ask then. So you're gonna, expect to get applications on
Yes,
an
ma'am.
annual
Yes.
basis?
It would be an
Okay.
application process.
Okay,
And
that
you would
sounds
have to
better.
apply for it, and then we'll have a grading sheet that'll go with it, and it'll go to the board. And like I said, Gold Star families would go top, and then we would just have a ranking procedure for it. And then we'll let the board, and we'll sit down and we'll rank them all together, and we'll put them together, and the 36 will be picked for the year, and we'll notify the families, and we'll move forward. And then if we have 48 applications and only 36 polls, then we can go ahead and discuss the others that didn't make the list, and we can move them up for the next year, and then we'll just continue to move forward, and it'll be an application process. And it'll be a collective group making it instead of just one individual.
And at the end of the year, when you take mine down to put the new group up,
You
that's when you donate it to the,
Yes, ma'am. That family
Family.
will receive it at that point.
And these banners, they are vinyl because I talked to the representative, the material we have now, the sunbrella, what they call that canvas type material, does not take,
Won't take the pictures.
yes. So, and then they are also UV clear coated. And, you know, if we put them up for Memorial Day, take them back down, then put up some other patriotic ones, and then put these back up October through November, they'll be preserved in, like Bruce said, at the end of the year, at the tree lighting, we can present them, or at the parade, present them to the families, or we could even look at doing a parade float. That's way out there, I know, but
Just different ideas. And these are the thought processes we're in.
a parade float with them.
Put the banners on the float and then showcase them that way, and then we can give them to the families after the fact. So it's a living dream at this point, but just trying to figure out how many polls y'all would like to do and what funding we would like to look at, and kind of give us an idea so we can start scoping this out and putting it together on this portion of it. And then I need something on the 4th of July banners if y'all are willing to move forward with that one.
Well, could we do the 4th of July theme in tandem with Hometown Heroes if we wanted to roll it out slowly? Say, just do 4 Hometown Heroes, 1 for each point of entrance into the city, you know, as it gains some steam, perhaps, and then decide as we are going forward, making it both sides of, you know, each entrance point and expanding it to 8. I mean, I think you're right. I think there'd be a lot of interest in this.
I think we're gonna get a lot of applications.
Oh,
Once it hits social media and everything, I
Yeah.
think, then we're gonna have more applications than we know what to do with, and it's gonna be a very hard process to go through.
Yeah.
And I think if we did 36, I think you're gonna end up with like 55 applications. I would be very shocked if we didn't end up with.
And I just like to, you know, take them as they come, we vet them, make sure everything's, and we just keep rolling them through the years. We could keep going for years with this program. But it is something where it sounds like the fall banners that were up here, the board's not too
Well, now,
crazy.
just a sidebar, sorry, Commissioner Ambrose, you don't need to yuck on our yum. We can grow pumpkins here, you know. I like pumpkins. We have a fall-ish.
I'm fine with like pumpkins.
It's just a Florida fall.
And I think that's what goes into the more comprehensive thought in trying to get away from the stock banners into the more custom banners, so. Which, I'm not real keen on those fall banners anyhow, but we wanted to give you the information, just so you were aware they were out there.
I like them, but my preference would be to focus on the Hometown Heroes ones. If, you know, we're spending money, I would
Absolutely.
way rather spend it
That would be
there.
my first choice, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
And this year, if we have to for fall, I mean, if the Hometown Heroes are up from October through Veterans Day, that's kind of our fall
Right,
season, because then
right.
we get the holiday banners.
Right,
I don't think we're gonna have time to get this done before Veterans Day.
right.
I just don't think there's time, because there's policies, there's application processes and things like that. So I think realistically, shooting for Memorial, May of '23 is where where focus needs to be. We just need to, we'll have funding for it next year, 100%. We can go in and go with the 4th of July banners. I just need to figure out what funding we're looking at from a board, and then we can make adjustments from there, and how many polls y'all would like to do on this.
Again, if the board wants to go with what's on the screen, we would alternate them around. The total for these 36 banners is $3,441.33 for what you're seeing there. And they will work with this on the font and the layout of where it says City of High Springs, but that does add some personalization we don't have now.
Could we choose from the other patriotic ones instead of, are there other ones that are customizable other than the one that you showed?
Any of those right there, they could put,
Okay,
but I was just looking for one that had space to
Right.
put City of High Springs on.
I mean, whatever you go with is fine, and I mean, I like the one that you showed the example of the customization. And then, like up there on that, the second and third one from the right on the top, so the welcome, and then the Starburst flag, I think would work really well together. I don't know if you want to manage it to that level, but I definitely would go forward.
I
you
wouldn't
know,
mind
and
mixing a
approve the
couple up.
funds, Make a motion to approve the funds to purchase 36 banners for the 4th of July that we can use every year, and add that to our repertoire, and that you come back to us with the Hometown Hero program.
But, again, but those kind of mix them up. You don't want to. Yeah. They're the same thing.
All right.
did you have something you wanted to say?
I had a comment if I could about
Yes, sir,
that.
sure,
Well, I agree. May I come up there?
sure.
Hey, Lance Runner. I liked your idea. If you were talking about getting 36 of these for all 36 poles, but again, the sunlight is brutal here all summer long. They're eventually going to start fading. But if you had the Hometown Heroes, which match this kind of theme, if you got 12 of those at a time, you could put 3 at all 4 entrances, and then the 24 of these up. And every time you're switching out, you take the 12 heroes down, and then I guess you're into your Christmas banners by then. But you're always having 12 good ones, and you're resting. You're using 24, but you're resting 12. Every time you add in 12 Hometown Heroes. And, those you're constantly updating, but these you're going to have every year. I just think that, might be a way to do both and preserve these, because 2 or 3 years out there on the streets all summer long, they're going to be pink.
Right,
Anyway, that was my thought.
that's a good idea. So, did somebody want to make a motion to approve the funds for 36 now, while we're working on the Hometown Heroes? Is that where we wanted to go?
Somebody else.
I'll make the motion, we approve the funds for a set of 36 banners, at staff's discretion, and, for that, and you come back to us with the Hometown Heroes.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, item number 3, discuss, consider, and act on the electric vehicle parking agreement with Extreme Exposure.
Okay. This was requested by the board at the previous meeting that we executed agreement. Andrea came up with this agreement. I have reviewed it. Bruce has reviewed it. We feel it is ready to go to extreme exposure on, and for us to begin, I hate to say negotiations, but begin, let's get a contract signed and get this going. I'm not sure if anybody's noticed, in front of Hitchcock's in Alachua, there's a Tesla parking station going in.
That's what they're doing.
Yes.
I was wondering what that was.
So I believe the contract has met the requirements of what the board was requesting. There is a funding mechanism in there as well. I believe it does cover who they go to if the business moves and all that other stuff. So I was hoping Andrea would have been here for this, but she's not. But we feel like it meets everything the board was asking for, and if you're good with this contract, we'll take it to Extreme Exposures or GUE and have them review it and get back with us. For the charging stations. For one is what the board voted on, unless y'all want to add another one at this point.
No, I'm just curious. And yeah,
Everywhere.
77% share all registered vehicles in Florida. It's up by 77%. Used to be 41% people driving electric cars now.
They're more and more popular.
They're more popular. Even I was on Turnpike. They put a station at the.
They have them there.
They have them
Yep.
there now. So I'm thinking about buying one now since the. Yeah,
Let me know how that goes.
yeah. It's the way of the future.
It's coming.
It's coming. Ready or not, here it comes.
It's coming.
The Jetsons lied to us. They said we'd have flying cars by now. I don't believe
That's
them.
right.
Put it back to the future.
That's it.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? So we'll need a motion to
If you all are
approve.
good with it,
Putting it,
and
sending
approve it,
this.
we'll take
Well,
it.
if Andrea has reviewed it and
It came
she's
from
good with
them,
it,
so.
that's what's important to me, because that's her wheelhouse,
It
not
came
mine.
from them, so this is straight out of their office. We didn't alter it. We thought it met y'all's needs,
Okay.
and we'll take it to them and see what they have to say.
Okay, all right. So,
I make a motion, we approve it, and you can, for the city to move it forward and take it to GRU, or
GUE. We're not going to GRU.
Global
Second.
Underwater Explorers, there you go.
Second.
All right, so it's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, item number 4, discuss, consider, and act on installation of new pedestrian crossing signs on Main Street at Northwest 185th Road.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Executive Director Bruce Gillingham and Public Works Director Thomas Henry. Here's a remote. I can go through all my pictures of everything.
So we met with DOT in reference to the crosswalk down by the bike shop at the far end by the old Dean Davis building. There's been a need to do some sort of lit crosswalk or some sort of pedestrian notification in that area. We've had complaints on it. Mr. Henry and I had a wonderful discussion with DOT. It went really well. I believe last time I told you we were meeting with them. And they talked about our needs. They came back and said they see the need for this as well. So they gave us the option, and that's why we're here, that we could apply for the permit through them, and they would give us the permit and grant it, and we could purchase the signs and get them put in and go ahead and move forward with the program. Or we could go through DOT red tape and run it up their flagpoles and take about 18 months or 2 years. So we went back and looked at the cost of the program. Program for us to put these signs in was right around $4,000. They look just like the sign that's there, but they have the lights in them. They're solar powered. They have a motion sensor, if I'm not mistaken, so when somebody's at the crosswalk, they will light up and people will walk across the intersection. So instead of getting stuck behind those big vehicles where you can't see anybody coming down the road, it will notify you that there's a pedestrian standing at the crosswalk. So this would be the location where they'd be at. We just would be replacing those actual signs with the lit signs. And that is what they would look like, very similar to what's there, but they would have lighting on it and they would flash. They wouldn't just sit there and flash all the time, only when somebody was there for motion. So the cost for us to do that would be right at $4,000, and we think that we should move forward with this program. Mr. Henry's here if you have any additional questions on this program. We can address any other questions with DOT as well if you want to, once you make this motion.
So you're gonna put them where the signs are now?
Correct. We looked at doing one in the middle, but right now with the way well, in a lot of areas, they put a crosswalk, about a 3-foot sign in the middle of the road that has pedestrian and light up, but we can't do it right now with the way vehicle parking is downtown. They get run over by semis, so we took that off the table and just focused with this. Now, we have spoke with DOT a little bit about looking at changing some of the parking downtown, not as far as taking any out, but saying, hey, compact vehicles to keep those big, long trucks from hanging out in the roadway. But that's future discussion, things going down the line. So this was the stopgap to be able to get something there to make it a safer intersection for this point.
So, I guess my question is, so a lot of problem there is, when somebody stop, even when people stop now, those cars 2 or 3 back get very rude. I mean, very rude. So that's why I was thinking, is there any way possible you can put a sign before you get there saying some kind of crossing ahead or?
Yeah, we put a
some
warning
kind of
pedestrian.
people it's coming.
We could do something with that.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, we just have to let DOT know we're putting those signs up on the right of way, but they've been real supportive of this program.
But I don't see time people be on stop and trying to be nice, let people cross.
And we put a crosswalks ahead sign up.
Yeah, and I can hear brakes squealing sometime trying to.
Absolutely. We'd have to increase the cost a little bit just because we'd have to buy the signs, but it shouldn't be a couple $100s.
I think the blinking lights will help a lot. I mean, they'll be magnified down the street. I am very much in favor of this. I think we've needed it for a long time, and people are pretty nice when you get there. You know, you kind of look both ways before you go across, and usually people will stop. But having that extra security of having the lights going and people can see it and they stop, and they're becoming more and more popular throughout. I mean, Gainesville's got a whole bunch of them, so I'm very much for it.
Any other comments, questions?
We need it on that corner, so I'm good.
Yes, please.
I move that we approve the pedestrian crosswalk changes on Main Street at the intersection of Northwest 185th Road.
I'll second.
All right, it has been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you. We're going to try to make this quick because we've only got like 12 minutes before the commission meeting.
Chair has no report.
Okay, there you go. Real quick, we had a real productive meeting with DOT. There's some stuff in the CRA district that we're addressing. One you just heard was the parking. 2, we're looking at some rerouting of truck traffic downtown. A lot of positive stuff there. So that's really all that affects the CRA district on what we're working on right this minute. And then I'll fill you in on the commission meeting on some other projects we have going on with DOT and where the status is on some projects as well during my manager report tonight. That's all I got. Dave?
2 quick things. Tuesday, May 17th, at the Opera House at 6:30 in the evening, we are having a CRA social soiree. Our guest speaker will be Mr. Joe Cerulli, the founder of Gainesville Health and Fitness Center. He's going to be sharing his story from basically going to sleeping in his car to having the nation's #1 fitness center. After he speaks, myself, Bruce, will be there to present to the business owners and community what's happening downtown, maybe the little other parts, and to answer any questions for the people. So that's Tuesday, May 17th at 6:30. Upstairs at the Opera House, there will be food. Nothing heavy, but there will be food. And the last thing, Mr. Thomas Henry got us a sample, just seeing how y'all might feel about a new type of light that would benefit the city, be a little bit brighter. Plus, it also shines down versus just the traditional globes. We're looking at this as part of our lighting plan.
We have that light there. Once the adapter comes in, we'll be replacing one of the ones that are out right now, just as a study to look at. So we'll let you know where it's at, so you'll be aware.
And that's it. I appreciate y'all coming to see me tonight.
Anything else?
We
it.
appreciate
All
the
right.
invitation.
You're welcome.
Move we adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.
Okay.
I gotta go.
Good evening. At this time, I call this High Springs City Commission meeting to order, April the 28th, 2022, at 6:33. At this time, we will stand for the invocation, and following that, we have the Pledge of Allegiance. Most gracious God, as we come now to discuss the business of this city, God, we ask you to lead us and guide us, to bless us with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, God, that we would do what's best for the city of High Springs. And God, we just say a special prayer for our first responders, God, just continue to protect them as they serve and help us, God. So again, we say thank you for thy grace and thy mercy. In your sweet holy name we pray. Amen.
Skipped roll call.
You're on this new agenda.
I know.
All right, Madam Clerk, I'm sorry, roll
No
call.
problem. Mayor Williams,
Here.
Vice Mayor James,
Here.
Commissioner Ambrose.
Here.
Commissioner Jones. Here. Commissioner Whites had to leave.
All right, thank you, ma'am. At this time, we entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda. And up on the consent agenda, we would take off number 3.
So I move,
Hold on. And one more item. And before the special presentation, we will have an introduction by the city manager.
Are we just taking number 3 off?
Just number
or is it
3.
moving it down?
Taking it off for
Okay.
tonight. Removed it. That's on the consent agenda. Under D, number 3.
I move we approve the agenda, removing D3 and adding an introduction under special presentations.
I second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, at this time, I entertain a motion for the approval of the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda with the deletion of item number 3.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussions? Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, moving on. Madam,
Commission, I'd like to introduce to y'all our new finance director, Diane Wilson. She came to us from Gainesville. She was in a previous assistant finance director there, and she's a certified finance government officer. So we're very happy to have her. When she's already hit the ground running, she hasn't had any time. There's been no honeymoon period for her already, and I'm very excited to work with her and get going on the budget process. So.
welcome to High Springs.
Welcome. Glad to have you.
Thank you, ma'am. All righty, moving on. Special presentation, proclamation.
Mr. Mayor, would you like me to read the proclamation?
Yes.
Okay. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of municipal clerk provides a professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels, and whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all, whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community, whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, province, county, and international professional organizations, whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of municipal clerk. Now, therefore, Byron D. Williams, as mayor of High Springs, hereby proclaims the week of May 1st through 7th, 2022, as Municipal Clerks Week, and further extends appreciation to our city clerk, Jenny Parham, Deputy City Clerk Angela Stone, and to all municipal clerks for their vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent.
All right, thank you, ma'am. So I just want to say a personal thank you to Miss Jenny and Miss Angela for the hard work. Thank you. Thank y'all so much.
I agree. Couldn't do it without you.
You've been here just as long as I have been here. Maybe just a little bit longer. All right. Again, thank you so much for your work. At this time, unfinished business, none. At this time, citizens' requests and comments for issues not on the agenda. Please state your name for the record and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please. Yes, sir.
Evening.
You. I want to introduce myself. My name is Sean Brewer, and I'm a candidate for 8th Circuit Court Judge, which covers Alachua County. And if I could just tell you a little bit about myself, I grew up in Seminole, Florida, which is down by St. Pete, and I came up to Gainesville in 1989 to go to school, and I've stayed in Alachua County ever since. I did my undergraduate degree, my master's degree, and my law degree at the University of Florida. In 1991, I met my wife, Laura Quisling Brewer, who grew up in Gainesville, and we decided to stay and start our family here, close to her family. My wife is a teacher in Alachua County, has been since 1996. Along the way, we've had 3 children. I have a 20-year-old, or going to be 20 years old next week at the University of Florida. I have a 17-year-old who goes to Buchholz High School, is playing baseball right now up in Jacksonville for Buchholz. And I have a 14-year-old who goes to Lincoln Middle School in Gainesville and is about to go to Buchholz High School as well. As far as my professional career goes, I started working in Marion County while I lived in Gainesville for Brad King as a prosecutor. I've been a prosecutor for 24 years. And in Marion County, my specialty became working on crimes involving women and children, your child abuse, and some of your other more serious crimes involving women and children. I moved up to Levy County in 2002 as we started to have children. Still living in Gainesville, but working in Levy County. I worked in Bronson for close to 3 years. Had another child, and then I moved into the Alachua County office, where once again I was put in the Crimes Against Women and Children division. Along the way, I became the supervisor of that division. I did that for a decade. And then a few years ago, I became the supervisor of our major gun crime unit in Gainesville. And so that's kind of my background professionally. I've tried multiple murder cases, both in Levy County and Alachua County, many of them being crimes against women and children, domestic abuse, murder type cases. I've tried just about every kind of serious criminal case there has been, burglary, robbery, those type of things. The way I've given back to the community is with 3 boys. I've coached about 125 different teams over the years, starting with little 3-year-old YMCA basketball all the way up through middle school. And with my youngest son going to high school next year, that part of my career is over. But it's been a great way to connect with the families and children in the community. So I'm just at a point right now where my professional career and my personal involvement with the community has kind of reached a point where I think I would be an asset to the bench. And that's why I'm running for circuit judge, and the election is August 23rd. And I want to thank you all for the opportunity to introduce myself.
All right, thank you. Anyone else like to speak on item not on the agenda for tonight? Seeing no one rising, we're moving on. Okay, new business. Item number 1. City Manager?
I'm requesting that Anderson's Outdoor Adventures operation agreement be extended for 1 more month. Last time, I promise. As we've had a lot going on and we need another month to get it. Anderson's, Paul has said that he will be here on May 26th for the final permanent agreement.
Okay.
Ashley, do you think you'll be able to get us that draft a week or 2 before the meeting?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Hopefully this weekend. I'm sick of it.
All right. I move we extend the agreement for another month. Is that the motion you need?
We got a motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions? Anyone from the audience? Can't hear me. Can you hear me now?
Okay, all right.
I guess I'm soft-spoken, huh? Okay. The mic is on. You good? Can you hear me, Mr. Navy Man? If he can hear me, everybody can hear me. That's my buddy there. All right. So we got a motion on the floor. Any other discussion? And none. All in favor of the motion, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All righty. Moving on to item number 2.
Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to read the ordinance by title only. This is an ordinance of the City of High Springs, Florida, providing for adoption of a comprehensive plan amendment relating to the water supply facilities work plan, providing for intent, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
I'd like to point out that this ordinance number will be 2022-06.
Okay. Mhm. Okay, I heard the reading of the ordinance. Commissioners?
Mayor, just to let y'all know, this is a formality. Y'all already approved this when we transmitted the comprehensive plan. It's a formality just to get the ordinance passed and on the books.
Okay.
I move we go ahead and accept ordinance 2022-06 as presented.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Anyone from the audience? Well, you got me loud now, Kelvin. Anyone from the audience? Questions or comments? All right. And now, Madam Clerk?
Mayor Williams,
Yes.
Vice Mayor James,
Yes.
Commissioner Ambrose,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Moving on to item number 3 under new business. Violence Protection Ordinance.
Oh,
Chief Shepherd, huh?
Chief Shepherd.
Afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Commission. The action set forth before you is a duplication of the Board of Alachua County Commission's Domestic Violence and Intimate Ordinance. This ordinance or legislation is drafted in partnership with the Peaceful Path organization. And basically the purpose of the ordinance is to empower domestic violence victims to secure or change rental residence locks at the request of the landlord. If the landlord fails to do so, then the tenant can act. And this is an incurred expense for the victim or tenant, not the landlord.
Thank you. Any questions?
Do we have a number on this ordinance, Jenny? Okay, so,
Mr. Mayor, there's no ordinance, or there's no number on this ordinance because it's the county ordinance for now. I think the question is about if we're going to opt in once the ordinance is passed. Is that correct? Chief
That's
Shepherd?
correct.
Okay, gotcha, okay.
And you obviously are recommending we opt in, correct?
I do. I have been a part of some conversations with Peaceful Path, so I was aware of this measure trying to come before the commission. So I would highly recommend that we opt in. It's just another layer of protections for victims of domestic violence.
Okay.
well, I move, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I move that we opt in with the county for the domestic violence protection ordinance.
I'll second that.
Got a second? Any other discussion? Anyone from the audience? Question or comments? Yes, ma'am. Please come to the mic and tell us your name and.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm Alice Brown. I just wanted to say I think it's a great idea.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Hearing none. All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, item number 4. Discuss the mirror ordinance. If that's the, you going, or the?
Yeah, there's a presentation.
Okay.
Just to kind of help guide discussion. Basically, to let you know where we're at, a number of ordinances have been reviewed. And, we've gotten it down to several. There's not a one-size-fits-all when it comes to mural ordinances. Pretty much, several cities do it differently. I mean, there are some kind of trends where some do the same things in the ordinances, but there's not like this blanket ordinance that everyone does everything the same. So, basically, it's the mural ordinance discussions. These are the ones, we reviewed more than these, but these are the main ones that we referred to in the analysis for Gainesville, Sarasota, Orlando, Lake Park, and Ormond Beach. So I just kind of want to go through there's 3 slides, and to kind of, some of them will give you like what staff suggests, and then y'all can talk about what you want to do. The responsible department staff, does feel like this belongs in planning, the planning department, to follow through the process. Submittal requirements, application, and fees. Submittal requirements at a minimum, we would request that we obviously have a rendering of the mural when it comes through for adequate review. We'll likely get questions on dimensions and colors, especially if it's in the historic district. It's not unusual for there also to be an application and fee. Obviously, the fee would be in line with what other cities have as well. Notification, discussion needs to be on, if y'all would like notification procedures or not, staff would recommend that we have an area of the website that when murals come in, that we can post the murals on the city website. So when people call, we can refer them to that so they can view the mural. And that we put the application online. We probably should be doing that with some other things as well too. And so this is kind of one of those things that, yeah, we should do this with a number of things. Review and approval timeline, staff would like to request a minimum of a 30-day review period prior to it going, for a staff review, and or if you decide to put it in front of a mural art committee, the plan board, commission, historic board, we would like a 30-day review time because we don't know the quantity of them coming in. We don't know, we just need to be able to prepare, especially since we have a small staff and other things going on as well. Quite often they will be, the murals do go through like an art mural committee and or the plan board and or city commission. They normally will not go through all 3. That's it's a lengthy process for staff. It's a lengthy process for the applicant. The review needs to be very thorough, but we would recommend only 1 or 2 of these committees it go through. Historic board, obviously, if there's someone does a submittal for the mural in the historic district, it would not only have to go through the regular mural review, but it would need to do the certificate of appropriateness with the historic board. Mural timeline, start to completion. Some of these I'm kind of, when we were thinking through this stuff, we were looking at other murals as well as like, what are the practices in other departments for the city? For instance, like with review, we have a planning process. Normally takes, a month or 2, well, more than a month. It's normally a 2-month process when all is said is done. 30 days for staff to review, and then a month to go through, the plan board / city commission, all of that. So for the mural timeline start to completion, kind of referred back to when you're doing a building. They get their building permit. There's a certain amount of time, where you have to start. If you don't start in that amount of time, then, you need to come back. And it's normally, I think, Alan, what is it on 6 months or something? If they come get a building permit and they don't start, they need to come back and get another one. 180 days. And then they can continue work as long as they keep working, right? So that's kind of how that works. Part of this also is, so if you have an artist doing something really intricate design, something really nice for the community, you want to allow the time for them to be creative and express themselves. But at the same time, it's a balancing act, because you don't want someone just a halfway unfinished mural that's out there forever that someone's not moving forward on. So, when you think of the regulations, if someone's just coming out there doing like a little thing, like that's not fair. You know what I'm saying? It needs to be a balancing act. It could be something, the bigger the mural, the more amount of time, or something like that, because it still needs to be completed in a timely manner. Let me see, inspection. So if the mural is placed on something that is attached to the wall, or there's a projection or something, obviously we would require that it be inspected by the building department. And for compliance, we would need to make sure that when the mural's painted, it ends up like what was approved by staff, the plan board, historic board, city commission, whatever y'all decide. So if they do not do what they are supposed to do when they get the permit, then we would have something in there, procedures that would be similar to code enforcement, to try to bring people back into compliance. Mural regulations, as far as those, typically some cities allow them in all zoning districts. Some of them only allow them in commercial zoning districts, such as mixed-use commercial industrial. Text and sign regulations, advertising. A lot of times with murals, there's kind of a gray area between what's a sign and what's a mural, and when is that tripped. I think we feel like the murals would be a supplementary regulations within the LDC, and they'd be treated more as art. And when you start advertising and stuff, that's when the sign ordinance be tripped. Another thing y'all need to consider is the text area of the mural, how much of the mural is allowed to have text, because that was something we found in ordinances. The location of the mural, this refers to, are you going to allow murals on all four sides, front, back, side, or just certain sides of a building? Maximum wall space by percent, or maximum dimensions, what percentage of wall space are you going to allow the murals? Some things to keep in mind, that when you give staff direction on the mural ordinance, we need enough guidance to be able to administratively review the murals. We need kind of less subjectivity and enough regulations that we can look on it and make a recommendation of staff, like, yes, it fits XYZ, and so that we can implement it. Because if it's subjective, it will be very difficult for us to implement. It's important that the murals, there be a process for a thorough review, so it can be vetted, but also that it be a timely review, so people aren't held up, and people who want to do murals in the city, they're not waiting forever for an answer, that they can get an answer in a timely manner. That the fee be reasonable for the application, in line with other cities, that the mural be content neutral, that decisions be made based on the application, the mural, not on the individual and group submitting the murals. Also, I would like to make one kind of suggestion. Obviously, the ordinance would be a prescriptive regulations. These are the things you have to do to be able to get a mural approved in the city. However, there are probably going to be some suggestions that you would like to see, but that aren't appropriate to put in an ordinance. Kind of best practices or things you like, or that type of things, such as, in the historic district, we really would like things that are more, historical related, those type of murals. In this section of town, that's getting closer to the springs, maybe you want to see some things more like that. Just certain things like your visioning document for murals. So keep in mind that not everything needs to be in the ordinance. We can do kind of a guiding document that it's not a have to, it's like encouraging people that when they come and submit an application, staff could give them something that shows the vision of the commission when it comes to murals. So So if you want us to go back, we can go back to the other slides. So you can maybe go down, we can start asking you questions, or you can just start discussion, however you'd like to proceed.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
I don't know if everybody's had a chance to read what Commissioner White's typed up. She has a very good handle on it right there. Excuse me. One thing I am concerned with is if 10 murals come in at one time for whatever reason, that obviously is going to take longer time. So if you put a 30-day limit on it, that's going to be very taxing to the staff and whoever else has to be involved. But I liked the Lake Park, City of Lake Park or town, whatever that is, and using Commissioner Weiss's information here, I like that as well.
Mayor?
Yes.
A number of the ordinances that you presented us for review made real distinctions between what the process would be for art on public right-of-ways and on public buildings, and then had a different threshold for what the requirements or process might be for a mural or art on private property. Are you looking at doing some of that same kind of thing because of the issues involved in a public space versus a private space as you look at these things?
I think that definitely, I mean, obviously, what goes on public space, the city has more control over. So I think that would want to have a closer review, kind of scrutinized on a different level, because especially city property. And then yes, you can have different guidelines, because we have more say over our property,
Okay.
I think anything on public property definitely needs commission approval, yeah.
Commissioner White's asked this be read for the record. Would you like me to read it? Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. I apologize for not being there tonight to participate in the discussion regarding a proposed mural ordinance. Below are my requests, please, for consideration to be included in our own High Springs mural ordinance. Number 1, mural ordinance shall restrict the processing of a singular mural permit to 1 permit at a time. No new permit shall be issued until the previous permit has been completed, inspected, and closed out. This will allow for measured and careful application of each mural. Given the amount of time this singular issue has cost the City of High Springs in staff time, and furthermore, given that our city staff is already stretched very thin, limiting the total number of permits for murals to 1 at a time will allow all involved parties to proceed with care that these kinds of installations are due. Number 2, mural permit must include agreement from any and all adjacent businesses. Number 3, mural installation shall be limited to the sides or back of commercial buildings. Number 4, murals shall not directly face a residence. Number 5, murals shall be installed on a panel whenever possible as opposed to directly on the facade of the structure. Number 6, murals shall not contain letters or numbers. Number 7, any installation on a historic building shall follow all city requirements and restrictions regarding colors that are acceptable on a historic building. Number 8, all mural permit applications shall be submitted to the Historic Preservation Board when the building location is within the historic district as outlined in the City of High Springs Comprehensive Plan. Following Historic Preservation Board approval, all permit applications shall be reviewed by the Planning Board and the City Commission for individual consideration and approval. Number 9, all complete mural applications shall be approved for installation in no more than 90 days from receipt of a completed permit application by the building department. Number 10, all mural permit applications shall include a digital rendering of the desired mural for review that has been reviewed and approved by adjacent business owners. Number 11, all murals shall be installed in no more than 90 days from permit issuance. Final inspection of each mural shall be conducted by the City of High Springs Building Department official prior to closing out permit application as complete.
Thank you, ma'am.
I have two questions, Mayor, if I may. She's saying all murals shall be installed in no more than 90 days, and did you not just say?
Well, I mean, I think this is up to y'all how you want to do it. You know, I was just establishing some minimums, you know, for staff. And I think it's up to y'all how you want to proceed, which is kind of why this discussion is kind of going on right now. You know, and I think we also need to take into account, you know, definitely legalities and so
Absolutely.
that we don't get in trouble for
That's
not
what I'm
doing
getting
anything
at.
right.
Okay, and I think also we need some stipulations in terms of size.
Yeah, if we want to go back to the presentation, it'll kind of help guide like kind of questions that we
Yeah.
need answered, because those are really the type of things that we need. Can you go back another slide? Do y'all want to talk about process first, or do y'all want to talk about what the murals will look like? Like, or what, not what they look like, but what you're okay with as far as what do you want to tackle first, the mural regulations or the process? Okay, mural regulations. So zoning districts, do you want to allow the murals, you know, what zoning districts do you want to allow it in, residential and commercial? And then, if so, do you want to open up all commercial and all residential, or certain parts of residential and commercial? So commercial, we have mixed use, the commercial, which has like the neighborhood commercial, the retail, you know, downtown is C2. And we have industrial and residential. We obviously have R1, R2, R3, and rural residential. So, you know, typically the murals are allowed in mostly just the commercial districts.
I would think we would stick with commercial.
Okay.
I mean, that's my opinion.
So if you just stick to commercial, so like the mirror down there on the barber shop, that's not a I mean, that's not a commercial.
Yeah, we could
Well,
also
it's a
look.
commercial building, but is that a commercial district?
So there's also the types within the district. So there's like C2 that allows some residential and some commercial. So, you know, we could specify like it's a commercial district and it has to be a commercial use for a commercial use. I mean, we could do that to kind of tighten it up a little bit. At time of application, it has to be a commercial use as well.
Is it permissible to say you can't put a mural on the side of your garage? If it were private property in a neighborhood?
I mean, y'all can, I'll let the attorney answer.
I mean, I really don't know. I mean,
In several of the mural ordinances, it does limit it to commercial districts or commercial properties. There's, the commission can consider whether or not there's a legitimate interest in the aesthetic of the town in allowing murals on a residential street. And then in addition, if it's a neighborhood that has an HOA, they may have their own regulations that would come into play.
Okay, do you want to go to the next one? Is that, okay. So text and sign regulations, it typically, once you start advertising a business, so say that I don't want to pick on a business, I don't even want to name a business in High Springs, a bakery. If you start advertising, do a big painting and, you know, eclairs for $5 and and cookies for 10, I don't know, then, you know, that goes into advertising, and that would trip the sign ordinance, and that murals be in a location in the LDC as supplementary regulations so people, there's not the confusion between signs and murals are thought of as art, and we don't get that all messy. So y'all are okay with that? The text area regulations, should the text be located? There's some mural ordinances that text can be whatever size you want, like the whole mural can be text, you know, and, you know, there is some art that is all text, you know, but there's other other cities that want the murals to be more, you know, picture-esque. And so they limit the percentage of text on the mural, how much space the text can take up on the mural. So kind of what do you prefer?
If you have a lot of text, that could be a distraction for anyone driving past it, in my opinion. I mean, if I'm looking at trying to get the whole text issue taken care of, I could have hit somebody.
So what's the consensus of the commission on the text? That
I mean, we're a small town, you know, compared to some of these other ordinances. And I really think that you'd want to take a look at, you know, what's being said and where it's being located, because Commissioner Jones's point is right. I mean, you wouldn't want moving art or projection in an area that, and text that's going to be distractive to drivers. But if that wall isn't easily seen by drivers, it's more a pedestrian experience, then maybe you might allow something different.
Well, yeah, well, we could put some things possibly according to that, you know, that it's not a distraction or, you know, it's a
Mr. Mayor, what I'd recommend there is what Commissioner Ambrose said is right. If it's something visible on the highway, there's more ability to regulate the text size or even using, you know, letters, numbers, et cetera. However, if it's the backside of a building, there's a lot less of a purpose for regulating the text there. So I think any consensus should be focused on a very objective standard. For instance, I'm just throwing out numbers here, 20% or less of the mural, with exceptions that say, well, I don't even know that we have a place here that's going to be off the interstate, but
if they do, if Rails to Trails happens, and then people decide to put a bunch along the Rails to Trails or something.
So if there is an area that it could be a distraction to drivers, and there's some case law that just recently came in, I think this week, that further refines this area of law, but we can have additional regulation on those sort of murals. But within the general context, I think it needs to be a neutral percentage of the mural and evenly applied throughout the city.
So that one's done. The location of the mural, okay, what's the final decision on site?
I don't know.
So you're saying text, you're saying the size of the text, or how many words, or?
Really, it's like the percentage of the mural that the text can take up. So can the whole mural be text, or do you want, yeah.
When I think about a mural, I think about a picture.
A picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole thing is
Photograph or
text, it's a
something.
billboard.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but then,
How many words on that one out there? Can anybody see that from the one? The one on the side of the one there. How many?
I think it's a
No, it's
Florida
close.
Spring.
Close.
Florida Spring.
No, it's close. We gotta get it done.
Gateway to the springs and High Springs under it.
But what percentage of the mural would you say is text?
And that's gonna be the next thing is, so what size will a mural will allow?
That's why I say we need something from this side.
You know, 'cause
Yeah.
Do you want to tell them what you?
if it's a smoker, I know we ain't talking about nothing that big over there. So the smaller it get, that's gonna be, that's a percentage of, text you can have on it. See what I'm saying? It depends on what the size we're gonna allow.
That's correct. So basically, as far as text, and we can bring back a draft and put a percentage that's consistent with other ordinances, but it's gonna be a percentage of the mural itself, not a percentage of the wall. So the next point you'll have is the size of the mural itself. So say the mural is 5 by 10, and then 30% of that could be text, or 15% of that could be text, whatever it may be. So it's based on the mural size, not the wall size.
I think having a picture would be, I think having a picture would be easier for us to imagine. I mean, 20% of a wall mural, that, and then to text size, because if you're going past it, you're able to see larger text size than if it's small print. So I guess we just need to see some pictures. Or I need to see more pictures.
Yeah, and as far as size goes, I think maybe some language about scale. So for instance, the mural across the street fills 100% of the wall on a historic building. I don't know that that's the right scale. You know, and I probably would have wanted something different. But on the other hand, you look at the High Springs Country Inn, they took a whole little section of wall that was just painted, and they did a diving mural across 100% of the surface area. And I think it improves the space and it fits for a lot of their customer base. So in that case, 100% kind of made sense. So I think it would really depend on the wall and where it's located, and again, I think there's a difference between 100% of, say, Springs mural and 100% of a 15 by 12, you know.
And Mr. Mayor, for reference, the city of Orlando does just that. They have different percentages based on how large the wall is. The next one for y'all to consider is the location. Pretty consistently throughout the mural ordinances that we looked at, it would have, you know, side and rear walls so that it's not the front wall walking into a commercial building is painted with a mural. Some places do not specify. Gainesville doesn't specify what wall, but it's up to you if you want to limit to one wall per commercial building, if you want to limit to only side and rear. Those are the limitations we've seen there that people have addressed.
Or what about eliminating that it's not the main entrance? You know, because we have a couple of buildings in town that the main entrance isn't the front side. You know, the Windstream building would be an example. That's not the front of the building. That's not how people come and go, but that's what faces the street.
And are the divers on the front of the building? Yep. If they're on the front of the building, maybe, I'm not the commission, like, do you want, is none on the front of the building? Or do you want it, if it's on the front, they can do like, it has to be 10% or 15%, you know what I'm saying? So, because I don't know what percentage, because that building's so long, like it'd be horrible if it was the whole building, but the way they did it.
And there's
is
no
cute.
door there. There's no entrance.
Okay, all right.
In through the mural. You're not walking through the mural. You're not, you know, that would eliminate like any of our storefronts, you know, from having the whole front or some part of it turned into, you know.
So the only feedback I've heard on mural location is just not the main entrance. Is that the consensus of the commission? Okay.
And then the wall space is based on the size of the wall, like Orlando's, so we'll bring something back like that.
Yes.
So now are y'all ready to go to process?
Okay, hold this back. So now you're saying it depends on the size of the wall?
That's one way we can do it. I think that's what Commissioner Ambrose had said, and I couldn't tell if that was the consensus of the commission, but the city of Orlando does that. So basically, they say you can have 100% of a blank wall can be painted if the mural is up to 15 feet high or less. But then if the mural is going to be up to 30 feet high or less, it's 50% of the wall. So it scales it so that you don't have a very large wall with a 100% of the wall covered in a mural. And it's that way, I think it addresses what Commissioner Ambrose said about smaller walls, that it makes sense to cover 100% can, and then as you get to a larger mural, it's limited, so it doesn't look as
Like that.
in your face, I guess.
Yes,
You've got scale.
yeah, okay, so I'm thinking about that wall there, and then I'm thinking about this wall down here with the old pawn shop used to be, with the big building, with the brick on the front now.
Oh, yeah.
Where the restaurant going? That long side wall there. So what would that be considered? So how much could they paint on that wall?
Oh, are you talking about the pink flamingo?
No,
No, no,
right
no.
here.
On the corner.
The old
The old
CarQuest Western Auto building
down by
by
the
the
dentist.
clock.
Okay.
So cause the front is where the brick is. And then that sidewall considered as the side, although it's facing
The street.
the street. So,
Well, right now, I think anything would look better.
one question they gonna paint it. Actually got a primer up there.
Yeah, again, I think that would be the scale. I mean, it'd be really interesting if they came and proposed it, you know, on what it looked like, because there could be some really creative things there. I mean, would we want to limit it by saying you can't do 100%? Because that's not tall. You know, it's long,
Right.
but it's not tall, and it actually changes the height a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I mean, under the Orlando ordinance, what would the answer be? That wall's probably 22 foot tall and maybe 40 foot long.
Yeah.
No, it's longer than that, maybe 80 foot.
It was a long one.
So they don't use length in theirs, just height? I can look and see what other ordinances do. This is the main one I've seen that does it as a scale. One suggestion, though, could be we could scale using both length and height, if I want to get creative, or we can just say, in no event shall a mural be greater than X, and have a cap size, as long as it's a reasonable cap size.
Yeah, because right now, the old Dean Davis building and the bike shop, those whole walls are painted. And yet, they don't have the same reaction in terms of scale that the Springs mural has. And a lot of that has to do with height. So those are longer, but not as tall, and still cover, well, almost 100% of the walls. Yeah.
And one thing you could do also in the ordinance, and I'm kind of stepping into process right here, but you can establish hard regulations, but you can put a caveat in there that the commission can always issue a variance or something like that, so that if you have something, I don't want y'all saying, oh, we can't allow this because, you know, our ordinance doesn't allow it. So if we put like a little sentence in there, like letting y'all do variances, I think that would be a good idea.
That sounds good.
Okay, y'all ready? Do you want to keep, okay, we'll go to process. I think that's the one right before this. Okay. You know, this is one that I'm making a recommendation on. I really think it belongs in planning to see this through. We're used to kind of going through processes with this, with the plan board and historic preservation board already, and it's kind of a design thing, and they're used to looking at architectural renderings of things, so I would like the plan board to be the responsible department for seeing them through. Okay, they seem okay with that. Thanks. Submittal requirements, obviously, we need to see what the mural is gonna look like. Drawn to scale possibly, so it's just like when people come in here and they'll give us concept plans and it doesn't end up like it's supposed to be, just something so we know whatever they give us is really how it ends up type of thing. Or I don't want someone giving me, or if they don't do it to scale, they just have to show it on the building, so you at least have some idea the amount it's gonna take up of the building. Because sometimes even to scale, that doesn't give you the same visual as if you just put it on the area of the building you're gonna do it on. And the colors, obviously, especially if it's in the historic district. Is there anything else are you in favor of that? And is there anything else you'd like to add to the application, as, this is really important?
Well, I guess the question I have about, and again, what's going in a public space is different than what's going in a private space. So if the process is supposed to be content neutral, as you said, well, how detailed does the drawing really need to be? Because then, does the artist have a chance to, if they, I know a local artist just did something for the new ag facility in Newberry, and she submitted a concept piece, and it's close to what she submitted, but as she got into it, there were some changes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I don't think it. I mean, I wouldn't think it has to be exactly, but you can't show us a picture of a cow and it ends up a pig, like, it's like that's, you can't change it on us.
That I get.
Yeah. So, and I just think it just enough so that the regulations you put in place on the mural regulations, we can see if it meets that, to see if it meets that, and if we need to get enough information. So anything else you want with the application? Obviously, it'll morph, and there'll probably be a little more, but, as basics. Okay, notification, obviously, I don't know how far you want to go with the notification at all. I mean, staff's recommendation is to definitely go on the website, so that people can see what, all people can access the website, and that we keep something on file at the city so that when people come in, we have copies to show them. Is there any other further notification you want to do? I do not recommend that you go as far on the notification as we do in planning. It can get very, very expensive and very, very time consuming. But we could, possibly put like a sign out on the property or something, because that's not very time consuming or too overly expensive, because you have to keep in mind, if we start doing really intense notification, we do need to pass that along. I mean, one of the things we're trying to do is recapture staff time and have the people pay for the services they receive. So I don't want to make it cost prohibitive for people doing murals, that want to do murals.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree too. I mean, what's as far as the notification goes, what feedback are we trying to get that we can actually do something with? I mean, right now, if murals aside, if someone wants to do a facade improvement on their personal commercial building, as long as it meets the regulations, the neighbors aren't going to have a say for that. So if they want to add awnings or take awnings down or change a doorway or what have you, or the same thing with a painting of a building, that's not artwork. If they submit the process and for the, you end up with, a building that could have very bright colors and everyone goes, oh, wow, but, and not that would ever happen in our downtown area. So I'm just, with the point of a mural, if we provide notification, what are we going to do with the feedback we get from the neighbors or the community? I mean, they obviously would have a lot of say if it's a public space.
Right.
But if it's a residential, or a commercial space, private property, that say would be different, correct?
Right.
So maybe the notification's different.
I think the notification is also like a courtesy, just so people aren't, it's, it's something people are really interested in, and so that they're not they just are aware. It's just kind of like anything else, just aware. That's why I don't think there should be like this big over notification. I think I'm not the lawyer, but I think you need to treat it a little bit similarly to other things, right? But then and it's also, some people are interested in it. Some people are interested in art and interested in what's happening next. And we'll probably get some very beautiful murals as well, that people get excited about too. So. So what do y'all want to do on any notification on the website or no?
I like notification on the website.
Okay.
I mean, that,
I think it'd be nice to have a section showing all the murals we already have in town. And there's been some work, and we have some beautiful murals around town, and we can put those on there. And then, show it as a positive thing, for when nice things come, and when things come that people don't like, because people are going to like some, they're not going to like others, then it gives them a chance just to keep up with what's going on and be aware of what's going on in their community.
and they can pass it on to other people as
And
necessary.
then there's not misinformation out there as well.
Right.
That's a big part of it, is the misinformation. As you know, there's been a lot of different kinds of information that's going on with this process. So this way they can say, no, this is what the mural's gonna be on, this is where it's gonna go, and so it's like, here it is. And we don't have things going around that are not necessarily how things aren't gonna end up. So the review and approval timeline, staff needs adequate review time. We need time for it to, if you desire for it to go in front of, beyond staff review, then we need adequate time to do that. Get out agendas or what have you, or place it on an agenda. But we also need to do it in a timely manner, so that if people don't get caught up not being able to do things in the city, and they go on to the next city where, depending on how you feel, that's a positive or negative thing. But to do things we also want to be a responsive city, to process things in a timely manner, but also have a very thorough review process and treat everyone fairly.
Mayor. Again, with the number of bureaus that come in, that would impact staff time. If you had 6 or 8 murals come in at one time, it would be difficult, say within a 30-day time frame, right?
I think it would be difficult depending on what comes in. You know what I'm saying? But then I think it depends. Actually, it depends on the guidelines. It depends on if the guidelines are written in such a way that staff can review them in a timely manner. But if they're very subjective, then that's going to be really hard.
So how would you address that if say you had 5 come in at one time, but you weren't able to address that within 30 days? How?
Ashley, I can help out on this
Okay,
one.
thank you.
Mr. Mayor, as far as the guidelines, they have to be objective anyway, so that'll help expedite the process. As far as if you have several coming out once, I think what guidance we're hoping to find today is a adequate period of time that we can get this through a whole process, but we can always have a caveat that if they agree to an extension, then it's okay to push it out a meeting, so that if, you get 20 for some reason 1 month, and you're like, look, are you okay agreeing? We'll move it to next month's meeting or 2 months down, and they're okay. It gives us a little bit of a fallback there, and I think people are understanding typically when it comes to that.
Another part of the process as well is, I think we could put something there, staff will not accept an application if it's not fully complete. So I think if we put something like that in there, then it definitely helps in us not accepting incomplete applications. That's what's going to be a big part of it too. As I said, the going back and forth. No, we need this. No, I need that. No, I need that. And the clock is ticking. So I think that's a big part of it.
I think that should definitely be I think that should definitely be a part of it, because you don't want to spin your wheels when you don't have what you need to make a final decision on it anyway. So if it's not complete.
Yeah, that's what makes it not be for a thorough review, like in
Yeah,
planning, the lot of
exactly.
going back and
Right.
forth is the incomplete, or you're telling them what you need for the commission and you're not getting it. And then, so if, again, that's making sure that we have that list and that they have to check all the boxes on the application.
Yes.
So,
And in addition to the timeline, the other piece of this is just the structure of, is this only going to staff for approval, or do we want it to go to staff and then to the city commission? How do we want these to be processed? And in the handout that we gave y'all, there's a lot of different ways. The ones that have it go through more regulation would it be like Orlando, it's administrative, so it would be done by staff, where Lake Park goes administrative first and then to the commission, but Ormond Beach goes to staff, then I believe to an arts board, and then to the commission. So there's a lot of layers there, but keeping in mind they still have a pretty quick turnaround time. So the more layers you add in, the more meetings you have to set within a certain period of time. So just trying to decide what level of regulation you want to see as far as how many eyes need to see the mural ahead of time.
and another thing to add to that, so if we have, when you look at art on public spaces, like on city property or right-of-way, you might want different people looking at that and involved in that, like an art committee, than, external applications that go on private property. So you just keep that in mind.
So we should have staff.
There definitely
art
needs to be
committee,
staff.
Planning board or commission. We have to determine
Yeah, how
which
many
one goes
layers?
to where.
Yeah, how many layers? Do you want to stop it at staff? Or do you want to keep going?
Well, like you said, anything that's gonna go in a public right-of-way or on public property should come to the commission. And then I would say, like right now, the plan board functions as a historic board too. They're in that design process that you were talking about being in place for the review. We don't have a mural and art committee, and we're not as big as some of those other cities. That's adding a lot of layer of complexity. So, I guess, what about if the mural was within a certain distance of the right-of-way, then it comes to, and it's on private property, it still comes to the commission. But yet, if it's 30 feet back or something off of a public right-of-way, maybe if the guidelines are such that it could get approved, administratively through just the plan board or something.
Okay. I prefer, just speaking, the plan board or the commission have final approval, because some of this stuff does get subjective, and I don't want to be the one having to make decisions by myself, especially if someone wants to do a big old wall,
So approval, approval by the plan board or the commission, and
Okay.
then you kind of, I think you're getting a lot of good information, and I think, once something really comes back that's in front of us, that's been whittled down from all the examples,
Yeah.
there'll be a lot more for us to see how it
Yeah,
applies to our
exactly.
community.
Yeah.
So,
But this is very helpful, though. I really appreciate it. And so, in the historic board, we'll continue the same process, so there would be a double kind of review if it's in the historic
Yes.
district. And, we've talked a little bit about this is the mural timeline, is the time from when they, you get approval to the time you start painting and doing the art installation to the time you complete it. Do you want to put a timeline on that? I would suggest that if someone stops work for any significant amount of time, like if it goes dead, they paint the wall, and then, 3 or 4 months, people are going, Ashley, what's going on with that? That at some point we consider it abandonment. and we can start the code enforcement process.
Yeah, I would think the trigger might be better on if work stops, because in some cases, I mean, let's say it's an old historic building, or it's not in good shape and has been stuccoed over and whatever. If someone wanted to actually improve that wall, the wall might need some work, but maybe you don't put the work into it until you know you've got approval for the mural. So you get approval for a mural, and then you fix the wall, and now you improve the space. Well, that's all ongoing, but if everything just totally stopped, then that might be a different case, especially once they start painting. But we're in Florida, the Springs mural, the contractor got started later for whatever reasons, and so then they started having rain. And so there were a number of times they couldn't paint if it had rained within X number of hours prior. So it took a long time to finish that mural.
We could do like I don't know how to say this word right, force majeure, it's, those sections. we could we could put that in there. Did I say that right? I don't know.
Put something like that in there, but ultimately, we can always have an exception if there's some kind of unforeseen circumstance.
Any additions to this section? The one at a time, that was important to Catherine. Can we address that?
I wouldn't advise one at a time. I think that it would maybe unnecessarily put a burden on a property owner who wants to paint on their property. So I think that's why finding the amount of time that works for staff and works for the commission for a turnaround, with the understanding that sometimes there may be 5 applications at once, and sometimes there'll be none for a year. It's just finding that time that makes sense, and you can get the murals properly vetted and through the layers of approval. But I wouldn't limit it to one at a time. I just think that that's too much of a regulation.
Mayor, I just want to make sure that there's enough time, if we have a number of them coming at the same time, for it to get through. And I don't know how we address that, but.
Well, could we, without being overly cumbersome on people, that you can, if say we get 10 in 30 days for some reason, that we say, you'll hear each one gets, I don't know, I'm just thinking, even if the meetings go longer, each one gets a certain amount of time during the meeting, no matter what, or if there's, so many that it's required after you get so many applications, then if you get 5, you got to do 2 meetings that month, or something, so you're not doing 10 all in one meeting or something like that. I don't know, just said because, if you're looking at a whole bunch of them all in one meeting, your mind's going to get tired. By the time you get to number 10, you're not seeing the mural anymore. You're just trying to go on to the next. That maybe, over a certain amount, then we start calling some special meetings or something like that. I don't know, I'm just trying to think of things that could help.
What is it you need? I'm not sure.
I just need to know if you want us to try to think of something so that they're given the time y'all feel like they need. So that we're still keeping the same process, the same timeline, but we're putting things in there for adequate review time or checklist to make sure, certain things are done, or you just, do you want us to put some extra stuff in the ordinance to make sure that they're vetted thoroughly? Check ordinances or something. Not extra regulations up and above what you're coming at, but just that, certain things are discussed, or I don't know.
I really think it's going to come down to your application, because if you really have the picture of the site, the picture of the wall, some kind of rendering that shows the space that's going to be covered, a proposed start time, information about whether there are going to be projections or flashing lights or on all that. If that's all in your application process, then you've really established something that's content neutral and fair, and you're looking through them. I mean, what happens if you get a whole bunch of plans that come in at the same time
Yeah, that's
to be
true.
reviewed? I mean, you work through that process now.
Or we could get more people, to give a thorough review. Okay, well, we got it. We'll move forward. Okay, inspection, the building department inspects anything that's attached, projected, not just completely on, just anything that's not just paint on a wall. We get them to come out and look at to make sure everything's safe and wind resistant and all that good stuff. And then compliance, we were gonna write some, obviously right now in our code regulations, we don't have anything for regulating murals. But that we put something in there, for instance, on the instance, if you have something halfway done and it's considered abandonment, we just put things, or if it gets in a state of disrepair, like signs, once it gets over a certain state of disrepair, and it is a large percentage, then you have to come fix your sign. Once the mural gets in a certain state of disrepair, then you need to come, make it so that it's a quality mural or do something else. So that we will put something in there, and then we would have code enforcement.
And that might be interesting in the application, if you ask the question about anticipated life, because some murals might be designed, in some of those cities, they were designing things for, a shorter period
yeah,
of
yeah.
time. And other things might have a different level, if they were designed to last 5 or 10 years. Or even if they have a plan in place for repairing things, or graffiti coating, or any of that kind of stuff.
And I think that should be able to be taken in consideration when y'all review them too, because.
Yes.
Can we get the last slide, Kevin? So I just want to make sure we did this. So one part I discussed in here is prescriptive regulations and descriptive guiding document, which I think we could work on a descriptive guiding document later. That's kind of just like the vision of what you'd like to see murals in town. If you wanted to go to this extreme, there's going to be the ordinance, and then there's kind of the vision of what you'd like to see. Like, we really would like historic murals downtown. Our vision along 441 for murals might be different if you do murals. It's not saying you're encouraging murals or not, but if you're going to come do them, we prefer not to have bright colors splashed all over town. Or, again, you can't, these are things by law you can't make them do. But, we prefer nothing negative or something that's going to create controversy in our town, whatever that language is, Would you like us to work on a kind of a descriptive guiding document of things that, would it seem like normal that every normal human should think of when they're putting things, but they don't, would you like us to work on something like that to go along that y'all can review, that as people move forward, that we could give to them?
I think that,
Kind of like rules in parks, you think people should know certain rules in parks, but you have to still put them out there.
Yeah, if you
that would be good.
Okay.
Yeah, you definitely gonna
Yeah,
need
that
that
would be
because if
good.
somebody wanna put something very offensive to someone else.
It's gonna happen.
People try to sneak things in when they're painting things, like here's a little something on this little corner. Hey, looky there, so that people don't, like, please don't do that, So,
Yeah.
all right. Is there anything else that y'all would like to give us guidance on any more of this?
I can't think of anything.
Sound like you covered
Okay.
it pretty good.
Well, Andrea did most of the work,
All right.
so,
But thank y'all for giving us some more direction.
Yeah.
So we can, with all this information, we can bring back a High Springs mural ordinance for review and hopefully approval.
yeah, I also like to put it in there, so if it turns out something y'all are happy with, oh, it's all me. But if you're not, she really did all the work, so.
Okay, y'all got a good understanding what we,
We thank y'all for that.
Moving right along. Anyone from Norton have any questions? Anything that's just been discussed? Anyone have any questions on what we just discussed? Yes, ma'am. Questions or comments, yes.
I'm sorry, I did have a question. How many people are on this committee that's making up this ordinance? People are on the committee. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Alice Brown, and I thank you all for being here and the work you've done. And I wondered how many people are on this committee for forming this ordinance, the wording?
This body here? That's us.
Okay. Well, it sounded like, to me, it sounded a lot like there's two people working on it and that you guys just found out a lot of this. So I was wondering, how do we find out more of this? Like, and how do we have input at all? Are we allowed to have any input on what we think should be in the ordinances? Or is it most important for us to just get up here and say, you know, wow, yay, we like, well, you went over 20 different points and.
I would recommend that your feelings about what you would like in the ordinance, you can email the city clerk, and then she can make sure to get out to the commission members, and then, and then I can contact them prior to it coming forward and see, based on the input, if there's anything else. I can contact them individually. They cannot talk to each other.
Okay.
You know, when they're not in open
right.
meeting, they cannot have those discussions. But I am allowed to discuss with them individually so they can continue to give us guidance as we write the document.
Will your timeline to present the ordinance be like really quick, like in 2 weeks at the next commission meeting?
Probably, we can give it maybe a month, maybe, but I think we do want to keep this going on forever.
There isn't any way that the public can read some of what you guys are proposing, or?
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I can try to have a draft of this ordinance at the next meeting, and then that way, ultimately.
There are 2 readings for every
Right.
ordinance.
And ultimately, you're gonna see a draft at least once before you even come back for first reading, so that you can tell me, I hate this section, take it out, or this looks great. And then I can go back and make any edits as needed before it comes for first reading. So at that point, that will be in the agenda packet for commission and citizen comment.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
You'll see it in the agenda packet online, at the
For
website.
citizen comment.
I'm sorry?
For citizen comment, okay. For citizen comment.
You mean when we're discussing it for the
No,
draft?
it's okay. Let me go to my next point. We kind of thought that the ordinance was going to be able to stop a Wall Dog Festival, and I'm not really sure I'm seeing that that's,
Ma'am,
that
you
that's
can't target
true.
anyone personally. We, as a city,
I'm
we
not-
can't do that. We
I'm
can't.
not
This
suggesting
ordinance
that
is
we-
not, this ordinance is not to prevent wall dog. This is for anyone who want to come with an application. This is not just for any particular group. This is ordinance for
Okay, well,
citywide, for anyone that
I hear
come.
you guys talking about what might be in the ordinance, and I feel it would be really important to have in the ordinance that people would put up 1 mural at a time. That there wouldn't be an instance where somebody could come up with 5 or 6 or 10 murals unless they were maybe by the same building owner, but not by some outside organization that would strategize how can we paint, 6 or more, 12 paintings all at the same time in 5 days. That's what we're worried about, because High Springs still appears on the Wall Dogs website as a future event festival, and honestly, it's not a festival. I mean, we're not going to get popcorn. And I just want to make a point of that. It's really not a festival. And there are a lot of people that feel strongly about this. I wouldn't be up here talking to you if I didn't think that there weren't 150 people out here who agree with me and would really like for this to be addressed. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome. Anyone else on the audience like to discuss the ordinance here?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you saying that this upcoming festival is on the High Springs website?
No. No, ma'am. James.
So it's a different
on the
website?
It's the Wall Dogs website.
Okay.
Lists High Springs as an event that it's going to have.
Okay, but that's on them. That's not
Right.
for High Springs. That's what I wanted to clarify for myself.
Right, we were hoping that the ordinance would prevent them from being able to do something that drastic to the town, because we really feel it would be a drastic change to have in 5 days 12 murals. It would really be like saying, we decided we don't like the town the way it is, we just want to change the whole town. And we're not really for that right now.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Someone online?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, we had Mr. or Miss Van Der. You've got 3 minutes with the commission. Your time starts now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good, because I can only hear about 30% of what you all are saying. But I want to go on record for saying that my family been part of the High Springs soil since 1810, and that's a long time, and we're still there. And I want to go on record for noting that High Springs is a historical town. It always has been, and I would like to keep it like that. I would like to also go on record for saying that I'm totally against this mural painting on the walls, but I think I'm in the minority there. So I would propose one thing and one thing only, that if a mural is approved to be painted on a historical wall, there should be some way to remediate all of the wall painting per se. If you paint a mural on a wall and say 6 months from now start peeling and falling off and looking like a mess, a hot mess, it should be on someone's back to return those buildings or that particular wall back to its original state. And I think that should be in the application, and I think that should be in the regulations. Remediation. If you paint a mural, at some point, it's not going to be a lasting article. It's not going to be a lasting article. Oh, yeah, and I happen to work for the Smithsonian Institute. There should be something in the regulations, something in the policy, that the person who put it there will have a plan and the wherewithal to remediate what the damage might be. And that's what I want to say. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Okay.
That was it.
All righty. I think we pretty much, yes.
My name's Christy Swilly, and I know several of you do know me. Same thing, I just want to go on record saying that I'm very disappointed that we would actually consider allowing murals to go in our historic district. I feel like our historic district should be sacred, and that's one thing that we should be preserving rather than putting murals on. There was an event that happened today on one of our historic buildings. A sign was being replaced. A larger sign was being put in place. The current sign at the restaurant is currently covering the the marble sign that has the building, the person who owned the building was responsible for the building itself being built. It's been covered the entire time. And to me, that's disgraceful that we as a city can't even display the person's name that's responsible for that building. And as they were trying to put the new sign on, the bricks were starting to crumble. And I just feel very sad that this is what we've come to, that we have to put an ordinance in place to put things on the walls of our historic buildings. We are deemed a historical city. We should take pride in that, and I feel like our efforts would be better served trying to preserve that. I realize that you guys have a large responsibility on your shoulders on trying to create an ordinance. But I really would hope that you would consider the historic district as a sacred place in town. I would be curious to know if there were any small historical towns that you checked into as far as their ordinance are concerned. I also would beg you to take into consideration if someone is wanting to paint a mural of a particular person who is a historic person in our town, that you would take their family into consideration as to whether or not they want that to be placed. So just some thoughts to think about. If anything, the debate with the murals should bring a lot of attention to how many people do care about High Springs and what it looks like and why it is so special. So again, I would just hope that you would take that into consideration for the remainder of designing this ordinance for downtown, specifically for the historic district. I'm not completely opposed to murals, but I am opposed to them being in the historical district. So thank you. I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? No one?
That was a really good point, and we are going to look into if a family member doesn't want someone placed, if we can say, like, you need to get approval from someone with the family or something. We're going to check into that. I don't know if we can regulate that or not, but we will. Some people it's so far ago that you won't be able to find someone, or that good faith has been made, or there's a process to try to get their input. So, or just something, that maybe that's an extra notification to the family so they have a chance to come and make a statement or something. But we will look into what's allowed for that and what's not allowed.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Andrea, that brings up a good point. I mean, no one should be able to put on a wall someone who doesn't approve of what they're putting up there. I mean, wouldn't that be a given? I mean, that's...
It seems like it. I told Ashley I don't know the answer off the top of my head, though, and I'd want to do some more research before telling you a definitive answer, but we're going to look at it and get an answer out to y'all.
Okay. Any other discussion on the ordinance? All right, and none. We're moving on.
Okay.
City Attorney report and update.
Nothing from me.
Okay. We're going to keep you around. Madam City Manager?
I just wanted y'all to be aware that next month, Fairfield Oaks will be coming to y'all. I'm not sure if y'all are all aware of that. It was at the plan board this last meeting, and it did pass. It's 140 homes near 441 at the Old Forester property. It is more dense, so I want you aware of that. Staff has taken extra steps to do some pretty stringent design guidelines and buffering and some of the other things to make it something that might be nice for the community in the future. But I did want y'all to be aware of that, and for other people to be aware if they're interested in being a part of and seeing what it's all about. And if that's all.
It's called Fairfield.
It's called Fairfield Oaks, and it's near 441.
So last weekend was Pioneer Days. A lot of people in town. We had over 80 soccer teams, just to let you know, in the area. So there was a lot of kids running around, a lot of baseball games, a lot of softball games. The High Springs Community School soccer team, middle school soccer team, won the championship. Just to pass that on. Next week, there were some questions after the League of Cities meeting about the 1 cent tax coming forth for wild spaces. We do have a meeting next week with the county. We will be having that discussion. I believe it's on Wednesday. So all the municipalities are getting together, and the county will be there with representation. So that'll be additional discussion. Public Works Director's here. Him and myself have met with DOT. A lot of good discussions with DOT. We talked about some of it at the plan board meeting, one of which was being the crosswalk by the bike shop, the old Dean Davis building. which you approved to do the signage on that. So we'll be moving forward with that project. You'll see an ordinance, hopefully if we can get it together, I gotta double check with the city attorney, it should be done by now, to get together on the 12th for restricting vehicle traffic on 186th Avenue or the old US 27 alternate route. So we'll be doing some restricting truck traffic there. DOT's requested us that we have to do an ordinance. They will review the ordinance, they will get the signs together, and we'll start restricting truck traffic coming from 441 up to Main Street. So that's gonna be in the process to get that rolling. It'll take some time, but we gotta get the ordinance in place first, or add it to our current, vehicle restriction ordinance. They sent us a traffic study that was done at the 340 or 182nd Avenue and Main Street intersection down south into town or Post Springs Road. It is showing that it is favorable for a light at that intersection. I'm not promising that there's a light coming. I'm not saying anything along those lines. That's not what I said. Just to be clear, DOT moves really fast. No. But they are looking at it, and they're looking at the engineering of that. So there is some movement on that. Now, it could be 5, 10 years from now, who knows? But there's movement. The last study at 202 Street and 441 did not show that there was a signal warranted. We asked for reduction of speed. It also didn't show that either. So that study was completed on 8/23 of 2021. We've asked for them to look at it again. We don't absolutely have a response on that at this time, but we're working towards that. We talked about 441 down here between Main Street and Winn-Dixie, just the way those medians look, and DOT need to do some cleanup on that. They've been out working on it. There's some additional cleanup going in, and they're looking at a few other things there as well. So those were a few things that we've got covered with DOT. There's been some discussion about the parking downtown and trying to reduce the size of vehicles in there to keep these long trucks and these canoes and everything else hanging out of the back of the vehicles from hanging out in the middle of the road. So that's being addressed as well. We were very, very clear on we're not looking to eliminate parking. We just kind of either want to do some compact parking or limit vehicle size just to keep them from hanging out in the road with not even semi-traffic, but just general traffic. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Sir? All right.
Good information. Thank you.
The only thing I have to say is thank you for that. I really appreciate the work you have done and our new utilities director and working with DOT and getting some attention on our city. So thank you very much for doing that. I think we did well tonight. Congratulations to all of us. and that's all I have.
Yeah, I needed some Tylenol. A lot of thinking going on. Thank you for showing up. We had a good crowd tonight.
We did have a pretty good crowd, but because we were talking about the mural and it was on the agenda, I sort of thought we would have a few more than we had, because that seemed to be something that always draws them in, but it didn't do so tonight. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Did they just give up on us or what? I don't know. But Pioneer Day was a big success. As our assistant manager said over there, it went very well. So we're looking forward to next year. Are they looking forward to next year?
Mayor, can I add something?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd just like to say thank you to Sharon for all she did to put it together. She worked really hard. There were how many vendors were there this year, Sharon, compared to last year? 120 vendors. 68 last year. Yeah, and 68 last year, which is a substantial increase. And I think we can just keep growing it every year and keep adding more and more. Thank you. Sorry.
That's okay. All right. And also, Bruce, I want to say thank you for working with DOT. Long process. Thank you so much, Thomas, because I can remember the days when no communication with DOT.
Either who they have in place now with what they have going on, and I think Thomas will attest to this, they're really open to discussions, and they even admitted to an extent they kind of forgot about us.
I believe that. I believe it.
Wrong in that. So just sitting down and talking to them, they are really open to listening to suggestions. Now, they're not guaranteeing anything.
Yeah, but they're listening now.
You know, we did find out they're planning on repaving 27 in 2025, which is not even on their plans. It's what they're working on doing, and that's going to be a big push on what they're looking at doing in 2025. And they got some other stuff in 2026 and 2027 that's going to affect us. So we actually have some future planning and things we can look at now.
Good. That's very good. Very good. Very good. I want to, at Sanford High School, they'll be having a racial justice essay award ceremony. That's May the 12th, our next meeting. So I won't be here because I'm a part of this essay process here, and I'll be there on behalf of the city of High Springs. So Jenny, I won't be here for the next meeting. And also, I want to apologize for not allowed your League of City meeting. I kind of forgot, but I didn't forget. I got a 6-month-old, not mine, grandbaby. My name is not Abraham. He had the pink eye and ear infection.
Aw.
So he wanted to hold on to me. Jenny, he would not let me go, so I could not leave my baby home to come out to a meeting. So I do apologize. I had to take care of him because he might have to take care of me one day. So again, I apologize for not making the meeting the other night. And again, I enjoyed Pioneers Day. It was great. It was great. I think we need to add some more to it in the future. I know everybody liked the gunfight, but I think we can have some more attractions. I think we can have more attractions because shooting will scare a lot of the babies.
We add much more, we may need to move it.
Huh?
We add much more, we may need to move it.
Yeah.
We were busting at the seams.
You can split it up. Yeah.
We may have to go back the priest again and go that direction if we need to, because it was pretty full.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah,
Okay.
Kids Corral. Yeah.
Okay, good. Very good.
They had the soccer dogs over there.
Oh, they were so
The soccer dogs. The kids got the biggest enjoyment out of watching those dogs. The dogs playing soccer.
Yeah, oh, I heard them over there. I heard them, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's it. That
Yes.
was it. Yeah, quite interesting.
The kids really enjoyed that. You did? Okay.
We all the kids at heart. All righty. Again, if there's nothing else, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion made.